Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, an infant formula company on a mission to get a lot closer to the most superfood on the planet, breast milk. Our patented protein blend has more of the important and most abundant proteins actually found in breast milk. We're the first and only U.S.-made formula to use organic, grass-fed whole milk, not skim. We even conducted the largest clinical trial by a new infant formula company in a quarter century, with clinically proven benefits like easier digestion, less spit up, and softer poops versus a leading infant formula. And we make our own formula in the USA and our very own factories in Iowa, Oregon, and Pennsylvania. ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.
When Shopify says you can sell anywhere, they mean it. Whether you're at the beach or in the mountains, Shopify is the all-in-one commerce platform that simplifies selling to anyone from anywhere. Don't let the technical stuff slow your sales down, because with Shopify, you can monitor inventory, track sales, fulfill and ship orders from anywhere with an internet connection. Join the platform simplifying commerce for millions of businesses worldwide and start selling with Shopify today. Sign up for a $1 trial at shopify.com/free23. Shopify.com/free23.
Welcome to the Foul Pole to Foul Pole podcast, brought to you by Black Diamond Softball and Fitness, presented by the Till Valhalla Project, where heroes live on forever.
Hey, welcome back into the Foul Pole to Foul Pole podcast. This is your host, Tyler, with Black Diamond Softball and Fitness. Thank you guys for joining me. Today I'm going to take a look at the rankings, kind of after the first weekend of softball, and we're going to look ahead to the Clearwater Invitational. The rankings are starting to take shape. Everybody's kind of got a few games under their belt, and there's some movers and some shakers. Some upsets took place this past weekend and the latter part of last weekend. So we're going to jump into those and kind of look and see maybe the start of some early trends. It might be too early to tell for some teams. Some teams are, trying to figure out their mold. So we're going to take a look at that. Of course, with the Clearwater Invitational coming up, there's a lot of big-time matchups. And, of course, you can check most of these games out on the ESPN networks. They're going to be on ESPN+, but you'll have a lot that's on ESPNU, the SEC network, and the ACC network for sure. So a lot of softball action coming this weekend. We'll be kicking it off Thursday, and it'll be running all the way through Sunday. And so I think a lot will come out of this weekend. If you take last weekend, put it together with this weekend, I think the softball season is going to start to take shape. We're going to see who the front runners are, and then we'll start to see some of the teams that maybe weren't on everyone's radar that are, need to be reckoned with. So this weekend, of course, we had the tie between Kentucky and Texas. I'd love to hear your opinion on that, how that kind of played out with Coach Mike White. If you haven't heard the previous podcast, I did a little episode on kind of how that game shook out. So make sure you check that out as well. That's on the podcast as well. So, of course, Oklahoma and UCLA stay atop. Both of them went undefeated this weekend. You have Florida and Arkansas moving up. Oklahoma State did drop back after they took their loss. They did lose to Maryland, which Maryland was unranked at the time. But now if you look, Maryland is in the top 25. They are ranked 25th in the country. So that's big time for Maryland. They have just a studded out roster, a lot of young cats on that team, but man, they are poised this year. Definitely gonna make a run and make it interesting this year. So looking forward to that. Clemson jumped up 4 spots. The preseason rank had them at 10th. They went undefeated in the first week. They're sitting at 5-0, ranked number 6th. You had Florida State take a loss in their opener. Good game, Florida State. They're going to be there. Losing to Longwood, I don't think anyone expected that. But, hey, if you don't come out guns a-blazing, a team like that can catch you. So Florida State's going to be looking to bounce back this coming weekend. It's interesting to see how many ACC and SEC schools are ranked in the top 10, because for so long it's been, west of the Mississippi has been the powerhouses. But if you look at Arkansas being ranked number 4, you got Florida at number 3, you got Clemson at 6, Florida State at 7, Tennessee at 8, Virginia Tech at 9, and Georgia at 10. So you have a majority of the top 10 is over here on the East Coast. Of course, Washington dropped back. Kentucky, with their tie with Texas, actually moves up to 16. Everything else kind of stayed relatively the same. Interesting weekend for sure. I think the big note is Alabama losing their opener to Lehigh, it was a great game. We're not going to take away anything from Alabama. I think Lehigh maybe overachieved a little bit, but it just goes to show you that the parity across all of college softball, the skill gap, the coaching gap, the what used to be maybe 10 years ago, where you would see like a clear top 10 and they're just like the best in the country. That kind of distance has shortened up a little bit. Shortened up a lot bit. It's good to see the Division I teams that can play with the powerhouse Division I teams. It used to just be the Power Fives and then the cream of the crop out of each one of those Power Fives, and you could kind of see like the top 10 or top 12. But now, it's a clear maybe top 30, top 35 schools that are able to play with one another. Now, Oklahoma's been around, been doing their thing for the last few years. They've been good for the last decade or so, really. So everybody's kind of chasing them, but you still have powerhouses that are good and going to be good this year. UCLA and Florida is right there. Look what Florida State did last year, made a run. They got hot at the right time, and they made a run. SEC is packed with teams. ACC is packed with teams that at any given moment, if you look at the ACC, you got NC State, you got Clemson, you've got Virginia Tech, you've got Florida State, you got Duke. There are teams that you could see any one of those teams winning that conference. So as this year kind of takes shape, there could be some surprises, but the people that know kind of understand. You let one team get hot and they go on a run, maybe go 9-1 during a stretch or an 8-2 during a stretch. That's huge. That can propel them to maybe host a region. And ultimately, that's what you want to get to, is hosting a region, get to the dance, and then kind of see where you're at. And then matchups take place. And then, the team could have an injury. And then we see some freshmen come in, and all of a sudden now this freshman just leads them through. You take a look at last year with Jordy Ball coming in, had an injury, set for a good while, and the team, Oklahoma, didn't miss a beat. And then Jordy was able to come back, and then boom, ultimately they won the national championship. But you never know. These teams are loaded with studs, and everybody's waiting for their opportunity. So I'm looking forward to this week. We've got Thursday kicking it off with the TaxAct Invitational. Pretty sure it's the TaxAct Clearwater Invitational. Pretty sure. But nonetheless, it is the Clearwater Invitational. A lot of big-time matchups, and I kind of want to go through those a little bit. And just going off of what happened this past week, you look at Oklahoma State, Texas A&M. That's the first game tomorrow at 10 a.m. The first game. This thing is starting off with a bang. So a lot of teams are looking to right the ship. A lot of teams are looking to see, okay, this first weekend we took care of business. Can we keep it rolling? Can we're going to keep it hot? You got Texas A&M on the outside looking in the top 25, and you got Oklahoma State that's they took one loss early in the first couple of games of the season, but now they seem to be catching their momentum where they thought they were going to take off at. So a lot of big games. You got Duke, Alabama, first thing on Thursday. That's going to be a heck of a game. It's going to be on the SEC Network, so make sure you check that out. That's going to be at 1 o'clock on the SEC Network. There Friday is got Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State. So two powerhouse teams getting it going early. Friday at 10 a.m. That's going to be on ESPN. So all these games that I'm telling you about you're going to be able to watch them. So I know you're going to be sitting in your office, have your phone on, and you're going to be able to keep this on in the background, or you'll be able to catch the replay. But I mean, this is some big time stuff. One game that I'm actually looking forward to is the UCF Michigan game. That's going to take place at 3:00 on Friday. As we know, UCF has been on the come for a while, and Michigan they've got somebody in the circle now. It's good to see good teams start to put it all together at the right time. So I think Michigan is definitely on the come this year. And of course, Saturday on ESPNU, first thing in the morning, 10 o'clock, you got UCLA and Florida State. Can't wait for that matchup. You've got sort of the Florida State made a run last year. I mean, I think all year long they were kind of right there. They battled in some games. They had some letdowns early on, but then they righted the ship, got right around ACC play, and then just took off from there. And Florida State was there at the end. So this year they're looking to do the same. UCLA, of course, has been a powerhouse for quite some time. So that's going to be a great game. And then UCLA turns around, and once they're done with the 10 o'clock game, they jump back out there against Virginia Tech, and that game is also going to be on ESPN. That's going to be at 4:00. And then on the Sunday, sort of the getaway day, and I put the getaway in quotations because if you go back to the Kentucky-Texas game, the reason why that game was on a clock like it was is because, it was a getaway day. You got two big matchups. 8 o'clock on ESPN2, you'll have Mississippi State and UCF. That's sort of the end of the Clearwater Invitational. But before that, over on ESPN, you'll have Florida State, Alabama. That's a matchup I think everybody's looking forward to seeing. This weekend's going to tell a lot. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a good game between the two. I mean, the way it stacks up, you're going to think both teams are going to be poised and ready to go. Sort of circling that one for the weekend for both teams. But Sunday starts off with Duke and Michigan, and that's another great game. I mean, I could see it going 2-1, 1-0, or I could see that thing going like a 12-8 score, maybe a 10-8 score, something like that. So just depends on who gets going. So looking forward to the weekend, and the weekend for us starts tomorrow. So with what we're doing over here at Foul Pole to Foul Pole, we are trying to bring you the most up-to-date information that we can get. That's why I usually wait to about the Wednesday mark before we start talking about the rankings and kind of what happened from the week prior, making sure all the dust is settled. And then we're looking at matchups. We might look at injuries, look at stuff kind of moving forward like that. So this weekend is no different than others. So next week we will be looking, kind of the fallout, if you will, from the Clearwater Invitational. ESPN does a great job trying to get as many eyes on the softball product as they can. So we're lucky to have them again this year, putting on such a not necessarily a tournament, but just a display of softball before the teams really get into their regular season. So again, check it out. It's going to be on the ESPN networks. You got ESPNU, SEC, ACC network, ESPN, ESPN2, and of course you can check them all out on the ESPN Plus. If you don't have that app, make sure you get that. And two, follow us here. We have the YouTube channel, and we have Foul Pole to Foul Pole over on the audio side of the podcast. Wherever you're getting it at, it's. I know a lot of you listen to it on iTunes or Apple Podcast, but if that's too hard for you to get to, or you're looking for it somewhere else, maybe in the house or in the car, it's on iHeart, it's on Spotify, it's on Google, it's anywhere you can get the podcast. You don't just have to listen to it on Apple. I do appreciate you wherever you're listening to the podcast at, but it's everywhere. So, and it's everywhere because of you guys. I appreciate the support. Appreciate everything you guys do for me, sharing the information, telling your friends about it, and all that good stuff. It's wonderful. I appreciate it. It's very humbling for me. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here for today. I do appreciate you guys tuning in. We will have more to come from this weekend as we get through it. If you like this type of stuff, if you like this content, man, please share it with a friend. And when you do, you tell them you love them.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.